All right, so the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to meet with the American President Donald Trump at the White House next. Now, Donald Trump is in the fourth week of his presidency, and officials say that this is in fact the earliest in an American president's term that an Indian Prime Minister has visited him. Now, Narendra Modi and Trump's meeting will of course take note of crucial topics such as trade, immigration, defense and energy collaboration. The Prime Minister's upcoming visit to the United States also comes in the wake of the recent deportation of the Indian detainees that has sparked huge concerns in New Delhi. The two leaders have built a rapport over the years, which was built by back-to-back visits to each other's nations. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States comes after his visit to France that ended on Wednesday with a visit to the historic Mazagué Cemetery in Marseille, along with the French President Emmanuel Macron. At a solemn ceremony that was held at the site, Narendra Modi laid a wreath of tricolour-themed flowers. A large number of Indian soldiers are commemorated in this war cemetery that is maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Now, earlier in the day, Narendra Modi and Emmanuel Macron arrived in the southern French city to inaugurate an Indian consulate. This will be India's second diplomatic mission in the European nation after the embassy in Paris. Narendra Modi and Emmanuel Macron also visited the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor facilities near Marseille as part of the Indian Prime Minister's visit. Now, Narendra Modi also addressed the Franco-Indian Economic Forum in Paris along with Macron. At the business forum, the two leaders pledged to deepen economic cooperation between their nations, while the French president insisted on the importance of building ties to reduce dependency on the United States and China. Now, the Indian Prime Minister called on the French business leaders to invest in India. Now, during his closing speech, Narendra Modi said that France and India can together lead a global transformation.
जब फ्रांस की फिनेस और भारत का स्केल मिलेगा, जब भारत का पेस और फ्रांस का प्रिसिजन मिलेगा, जब फ्रांस की टेक्नोलॉजी और भारत का टैलेंट मिलेगा, तो सिर्फ बिजनेस लैंडस्केप ही नहीं, ग्लोबल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होगा.
Now, in Paris, remember, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi co-chaired the Artificial Intelligence Summit with Emmanuel Macron. The world leaders and the tech bosses convened at the Grand Palais on the second and the final day of the AI Action Summit, where the Indian Prime Minister told the attendees that India will be happy to host the next AI Summit. And Emmanuel Macron's office has confirmed that India will host the next International Summit on Artificial Intelligence. All right, now to give us more updates in terms of what is happening at the moment, we are joined by our correspondent Himanshu Dikshit, who is joining us live from Paris. Himanshu, you've been tracking the developments that have been unfolding in Paris all through this AI summit that was co-chaired by the Indian Prime Minister along with Emmanuel Macron. Give us a sense as to how the French media has been covering the fact that the Indian Prime Minister was the co-chair for the Artificial Intelligence Summit in Paris.
A very interesting question. I will tell you why. Because French President Macron and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi have a very good personal relationship. The French media, however, understands, and this is how they have projected it. They have said that it's a very strategic move on behalf of President Macron to invite India and Narendra Modi to co-chair the Artificial Intelligence Summit. In fact, before this Artificial Intelligence Summit was beginning, a journalist had actually questioned and warned Macron that wake up before it's too late. Europe and France does not want to be isolated, especially with artificial intelligence being a kind of all the limelight being hogged by the United States and China, especially with all the with the Trump administration in the United States. It's something that is very difficult to negotiate, especially for Europe and India. So it was a very good move by President Emmanuel Macron. That's how the French media sees it, in having Prime Minister Modi and having India as an ally in AI.
Interesting. Of course, the next AI summit will be in India. But this was not just about the AI summit in Paris. This was a lot more because India and France enjoy such a close relationship. Tell us what else was on the agenda and what has been achieved by Narendra Modi's visit.
Absolutely. It's been a very, very eventful three-day trip for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There have been the artificial declaration. There has been the civil nuclear cooperation. There have been a lot of partnerships that have been announced. French technological defense giant Safran has signed an agreement with the Bharat Electronics. Apart from that, Prime Minister Modi, as we speak, is currently in Marseille, where they inaugurated the Indian Consulate General in Marseille. Marseille happens to be a very, very important move on behalf of India to have a consulate over there. Marseille is a port city in the south of France, and there are developments on the IMEC corridor. IMEC corridor is the India, Middle Eastern, European corridor. In fact, just a while ago, Prime Minister Modi, along with his entire entourage and President Macron, had a presentation given at CMA CGM, which is basically one of the largest shipping and logistics company based in France and of course throughout the world, and where they explained how this corridor would actually boost the trade between India and Europe. So overall, it's been a very, very eventful trip for Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Himanshu Dixit, for joining us and getting us all those details there from Paris.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.